US raid on Venezuela has turned deadlier than first known, as Cuba now confirms major losses among its own forces after the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Cuba said 32 of its military and police officers were killed in the US strikes on Venezuela, revealing a significant foreign death toll in the operation. Havana called it the first official foreign death count from the US assault, breaking days of speculation and rumors. Cuban state TV outlet Prensa Latina said the officers were deployed to Venezuela at Caracas's request as part of long-standing security cooperation. The mission details remain unclear, but Cuban authorities confirmed their personnel were involved in direct combat and were hit in bombing raids. Cuba is a longtime ally of Caracas and has deployed security forces and advisors there for years in support roles. Rumors of Cuban casualties had circulated for days online and in exile communities before Havana officially confirmed the losses. Cuba announced 2 days of national mourning on January the 5th and 6th for the slain officers, with flags lowered and public events adjusted. Havana said funeral arrangements would be announced later, according to Prensa Latina, as families are notified and bodies repatriated. Former Cuban leader Raúl Castro sent condolences to the families of the dead, praising their service to Cuba and Venezuela. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel also praised the fallen soldiers as heroes, framing their deaths as a sacrifice for solidarity and sovereignty. US President Donald Trump said a lot of Cubans were killed during the operation on January 4th, acknowledging foreign casualties on the ground. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump said there was a lot of death on the other side, while stressing that US forces suffered no fatalities.
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. You know, a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday, you know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
You know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking, but there was a lot of death on the other side.
US officials told the New York Times that about half a dozen American soldiers were injured in the operation but survived. On January 3rd, General Dan Kane said US helicopters moving to extract Maduro came under fire as they approached and departed the target area. Notably, more than 150 US aircraft were deployed to disable Venezuelan air defenses and clear the skies for the raid. Venezuela also acknowledged fatalities among its forces and civilians, but refused to release an official death count so far. The Venezuelan defense minister said soldiers, civilians, and members of Maduro's personal guard were killed in the attacks. However, the New York Times cited a Venezuelan official saying at least 40 people died in total across the strike zones. The deaths reportedly included civilians, Venezuelan security personnel and foreign operatives such as Cuban officers. The full scale of casualties remains unverified amid information blackouts, damaged communications, and conflicting official claims. The US operation captured Maduro and his wife in a nighttime assault on January 3rd, toppling his government in a single campaign. Maduro and his wife were then flown to New York to face narco-terrorism charges originally filed in 2020 by US prosecutors. Maduro, who had previously denied all allegations of drug trafficking and conspiracy, is due to appear in court on January 5th. The US raid is being called the most controversial Latin American intervention since the US invasion of Panama in 1989, according to reports. Left-leaning leaders in Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico denounced Maduro's removal as illegal regime change and foreign meddling. However, right-wing governments from Argentina to Ecuador welcomed the move, arguing it removed a dictatorship tied to organized crime. Russia and China condemned the abduction as a violation of international law and Venezuelan sovereignty, demanding accountability.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down. Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.